Well, since this fighting began, millions of people have fled Ukraine. Neighboring countries like Poland seeing a massive influx of refugees just trying to stay alive.
Yeah, so one person helping with those humanitarian efforts, University of Oregon sociologist Professor Randy Blazak, and he joins us live from Poland where he's been lending a hand. Good morning.
Good morning.
All right, or is it evening for you there now
Yeah,
with the
it's 4
time
o'clock in the
difference?
afternoon
4
here.
o'clock in the afternoon, okay. Well, we spoke earlier this month. What has changed since the last time we've talked to you, and what is the situation on the ground right now that you can see?
Yeah, I mean, there is a need for aid. I think there's been a drop in humanitarian aid. I think some of the larger groups that we associate with coming into these conflicts have kind of been stuck in their own bureaucracy. So what we've really seen is on the ground, the people that are kind of the individual actors are the ones who are really bringing in the help. The group that I'm working with, which is a very small private group, is bringing in military aid to fighters, bringing in food aid and medical aid, and ferrying refugees out every single day. We just went shopping today for some more supplies to take in across the border tomorrow, and then we'll bring another family or two back out. So it's really been not the large organizations that have been doing the lion's share of the work, but kind of on the ground um, individuals who have really sort of helped make this thing happen. And I think one of the things that we're seeing is that they are helping the Ukrainian fighters so they can take the fight to the Russians. And we've seen victories all over the country, which is one of the reasons I think you're seeing a change in strategy from Moscow, because of the aid that's coming in to help the Ukrainian fighters stand up to the Russian army.
Wow. So the aid continues to come in for the fighters in the front lines. In the meantime, are you still seeing a pretty steady influx of refugees, of people trying to leave the country? What is the refugee situation like at this point?
Yeah, it's still a steady flow. The first wave came in the first couple of weeks. I was just watching people walk across the border yesterday as they're, coming on foot, trying to find safe place. Now the bombing has happened in Kyiv. I was in Kyiv, or excuse me, in Lviv on Sunday night in a bomb shelter, and they were experiencing their first real bombing. We had Russian jets flying overhead. We had the air raid sirens going. And so that part of Western Ukraine that had been sort of a safe zone is now not so safe. So we're seeing a wave of refugees. We're expecting about 200,000 people from Western Ukraine to come across the border. So it's always flux and flow. It's constantly changing. It's ever, evolving. So I wouldn't trust Russian media too much on this issue. We've learned that they've got their sort of party line, but on the ground, we're still seeing people trying to get out.
Yeah, I'm really curious about the information flow that you're getting. You're right on the border in Poland,
Right.
across from Ukraine. So how is your information coming in? Obviously, you would have more access than others, than the folks who are just there as refugees. But what are you hearing, and what kind of information are you getting?
Sure. Well, we're getting, phone calls on our various media channels and platforms, and we're hearing that there are victories from the Ukrainian fighters. We're hearing that then there's sort of a backlash from the Russian forces, sort of win and lose, and so it's a constant battle. And it's despite, I think, what we're seeing in the mainstream news, it's sort of forever creeping more westward and getting closer and closer to where I am on the Polish border. And I think that's what's making a lot of people nervous, is that it seems like it's winding down when you listen to the sort of mainstream framing of what's happening. But on the ground, we're seeing a lot more rocket attacks. We're seeing a lot more incursions into small towns. We're seeing people's homes being destroyed. Somebody I knew here just had his home destroyed last night outside of Kyiv, and it continues on.
Wow, that's an interesting context that you're right. That's hard to kind of get from a macro level when you're looking at this
Right.
from a national perspective. How is the mood among refugees, among families? I mean, as they're seeing their homes destroyed, how are people doing?
Yeah. People are kind of stunned. We brought a family out yesterday, a mother and her three daughters, and they're happy to be moving. It's sort of like a vacation, but their whole life has been turned upside down. So there's sort of a shell shock. I mean, there's this incredible amount of trauma that's being experienced as they come to a country. They don't speak the language here in Poland. They can't read the writing because it's a different alphabet. And there is just this state of shock that people are in. But the people here in Poland, at least, have been so welcoming and finding places to get people, to get them situated. The people that came in the first wave are in school and you know, starting to have a normal life, getting jobs here in Poland. But there is incredible amounts of trauma when your life has been just ripped out from under you like it has.
Yeah, how can we help here? I know we will always want to end these interviews with how people who are
Right.
watching this can help. What can we do?
Well, before I say that, first of all, I want to say good morning to my 7-year-old daughter, Cozy, who's getting ready to go to school right now. So, hi,
Oh,
I'm
Great.
safe. Hope you're doing well. Love you meeting lots of kids just like you here who are wonderful. And I would say that there are lots of wonderful aid agencies that are on the ground, including groups like UNICEF and Red Cross and Mercy Corps. People can contact me through my website, randyglazak.com, if they want to find out how to help with this particular effort that is including bringing military aid to the Ukrainian soldiers, as well as food and bringing refugees out, and just to look for the helpers that are they're here on the ground and be a part of, you know, this larger awareness that we are all in this together.
something to keep in mind, certainly, as this continues on. Well, Randy, thank you. We know you're very busy right now, so appreciate you taking the time to talk with us this morning. Good luck and stay safe.
My pleasure.
And of course, we'll post some of those resources that Randy mentioned along with our latest coverage from what's happening in Ukraine. Just go to coin.com.